Alright, so let's begin the JavaScript Loop Challenge solution. The very first thing that we're going to do in our script is create our random number generator. So what we're going to need to do is generate a random number and store it in a variable. The variable that we're going to use is our number, just like the same random number generator we created in our other scripts in this course. Alright, so once we have our random number generator going, we can now create our for loop. Now remember, this can be a little bit tricky, but let's walk through this. So we start by typing in for, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create a temps variable and make it 0. We're also going to add our conditional statement here, which is basically saying run this loop as long as our user's answer does not equal our random number. Remember that the exclamation mark in the equal sign is saying not equal to. So as long as our user's answer is not equal to our random number that we're generating, then keep running the loop. Last but not least, we're going to add a temps +1 every time the loop runs. So we're adding +1 to the variable attempts every time the loop is run. Next up, we're actually going to create our prompt to prompt the user and ask them for their guess. This is where our user's answer is going to be stored in. So any number they type into the prompt is going to be added to user's answer. So the script will keep looping until the user guesses the random number, and that number is any number between 1 to 10. Now, because we want this loop to run indefinitely and never stop unless the user cancels the program, we don't need to add an else statement or anything like that. The script will just stop running once the user guesses the right number. Once the user guesses the correct number, we're going to create some document.write commands here and just output some information to the page. I'm also going to add a paragraph tag here, which is the P. This is a little bit of HTML, and what this is going to do is at the start of this sentence here, I have the first paragraph tag, and then at the end I have a closing tag, and any text in between is going to be given the paragraph element, which is just going to give it a little bit of styling. It's basically just going to make sure each document.write command is inserted on its own line of text, kind of indented like a paragraph. Once I run the script, you'll see more what I need. So we're going to let the user know that they guessed the correct number. We're also going to let them know what the correct number was. And then, last but not least, our last document.write command is going to tell the user how many attempts it took them to guess the correct number. Alright, so we're pretty much done our program here, and once you're done your program, let's take a quick look at this program and kind of walk through it step by step what our program is actually doing. So, the first thing up top here is we are generating a random number, and we're saving it into the variable random number, or our number in our case. Next up, we have our for loop, where we have our attempts equal 0, and then we have our user's answer is not equal to the random number. This is our conditional statement here. So as long as our user's answer is not equal to random number, this loop is going to run. Last but not least, we add +1 every time the loop is ran. And this is our section of the code that gets run every time the loop is ran. Last but not least, we have a little bit of document.write commands to output some messages to the screen to just record some variables and let the user know how they did with this game. Once we have everything good to go, we're going to save the file and then test it out and see what happens. Let's see if we had any syntax errors or anything like that. Okay, so we see that the script is not running, and we must have a syntax error or something might not be right in our program. So let's take a quick peek and see if I can spot anything really quickly here. Alright, so I can see that we didn't capitalize the math.random command. This is a tricky one that used to get me a lot before I always forget to capitalize math.random and math.floor. So let's rerun the program. We can see that's running perfectly fine. And we're going to go 1 to 10 until we get the correct number. We can see here that the first time we run it, it actually goes to 10. So we can see we guessed the correct number. Next we have another paragraph, and the correct number is 10. And then we have, it took you 10 to get the correct number. So we might need to add a little temps word here to make this sentence make more sense. But other than that, I think our program is pretty much good to go. So let's just quickly add this in there really quickly, just to make that line make a little bit of sense. And run the program. Let's guess again to see if it actually does work. And we can see this time that the random number was 3. So it only took us 3 attempts to get it correct. And then the user is notified that it took them 3 attempts. So that's pretty much it for this program. A little bit challenging, nothing crazy, but a simple random number guessing game where the user has to guess the correct number. Once you have finished this, let's move on to a quiz that will include all the information you have learned so far in this course. After we finish the quiz, we can start working with arrays and JavaScript.